What's going on, everybody? Listen, I'm going to just tell everybody right now, warning, 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 warning.
Panama is not paradise.
Warning, warning, warning.
Panama is not paradise.
Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned because some of y'all getting ready to get your bubbles bursted. So it's a new year. Same us, new year. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Happy New Year. Happy New
New Year. Feliz Año Nuevo. Yay, let's go.
Pray you guys had a wonderful holiday season. For those of you that celebrate, whether it's Christmas, whether it's Hanukkah, whether you're celebrating Kwanzaa, which ends today, want to wish you all a happy holiday season and happy New Year. It's 2026. Yeah. What happened to 2025? Where'd it go?
It flew by.
What? Well, how did it is? The thing I've realized, the older I get, time seems to move a whole lot quicker. When I was a kid, it seemed like it took forever.
Yeah, that's part of the allure of being a child. You get what I'm saying? Listen, for those of you guys that are just jumping in, welcome to Behind Closed Doors with the Brookses. I'm Glenn P. Brooks Jr. and this lovely, excited young lady. Come on.
Cherie A. Brooks Jr. It's great to be here with you guys. But I was getting ready to say, so I've had a couple people come up to me and was like, y'all need to make a t-shirt. The t-shirt is coming with the Brooks. So stay tuned. That'll be out soon. For those of you that want to rep it, you can.
Let me ask this question because this is something for us in Panama, here in Panama City, Panama. So when we get to meet you guys live, like this coming Saturday is First Saturdays, right? And so when we meet you guys, what often happens is people are saying to us, listen, we watch your videos and we love the Brookses, like sis. They never say it with like just the regular way. So Cherie, I think what we need to do is we need to put together sort of several t-shirt renditions of what that should look like. And I think we should put it out to the community. We have more than 8,500 subscribers. Mm-hmm. And I think that they should participate. Would you guys like to participate on what the design, at least maybe
picking the final design.
Picking the final design is what I'm thinking.
We can do that. I gotta figure out where I'm gonna put it for people to see it, but sure.
Yeah, I what do y'all think? Put it in the chat. Would y'all like to participate?
Have some feedback.
Have some push feedback or some not feedback. What's the word I'm looking for? Have some input.
Input.
It's New Year's Day. So Cherie, we got to get into this. We're talking about some things that we try to make it light here on the front end, babe, because people are gonna. Can I preface? Before we get going on, and can I get a little bit of a monologue?
You go ahead, sir.
Do my whole,
sir.
Arsenio Hall monologue.
Right on
okay,
ahead,
listen, here's the deal. So, for all of you guys who may be looking to move abroad and you're thinking about Panama, Cherie and I, from the inception of Behind Closed Doors with the Brookses, we've tried our very best to really bring you behind closed doors and tell you the real, the good, the bad, the ugly. And if you go through, this is our 99th episode, by the way. So coming up next week, we will celebrate 100 episodes next week. And that means 100 weeks of us dropping content week after week after week. Now, here's what I know, Cherie, and I'm almost done my monologue. People do not go and binge watch the whole thing. If you've watched more than 15 episodes, put me in the chat. If you've watched more than 15 of our episodes, put me in the chat. If you've watched, even if you're on replay, if you've watched more than, let's say, 10 to 15 episodes, I'll give you 10 to 15, you will be able to say, no, they keep it 100. They really try to keep it a buck. Now, the truth of the matter is that Panama is absolutely perfect for us. Okay? And today we're going to talk about some things that people oftentimes will portray in the media as negative, as I don't know if you really want to be here, because they like to make it seem like it's paradise. Listen, we ain't they. I just need to put that out in my monologue. We are not them folks that want to make you think that this is something that it's not. Our most viewed video, I think it might be episode 46. We'll drop it in or something. I think it's we've got more than almost 50,000 views on that, and it literally speaks to the subject that we're going to talk to live, because we want your feedback, we want your questions, and that is my monologue. Come on, babe, what you got?
We are going to talk about system, trash, and healthcare here in Panama as compared to in the United States. So there are a lot of differences, there are a lot of similarities, but we're going to talk about some of the things that are definitely different and that can be a little off-putting when you come if you don't know about it. And even if you do know about it, you're going to encounter some things that you're just going to be like, why do they do it that way? But it's just different. And so it can be a little inconvenient. But if you come with the open mind, with the open perspective, and open to change, you'll be okay. So the first area we're going to talk about is the water. Is it safe, or is safe the same as familiar when it comes to water and trust? And so what I mean by that is that, yes, Panama has water treatment. Yes, the water is drinkable here. It is drinkable. Is it treated the same as in the U.S.? No, but the U.S., they overdo on chemicals and a lot of things. But there are a couple things here that make it different. So tap water, and depending on where you live, it may be potable. So we live in the city, and the majority of the buildings in the city, the water is filtered, and so you can drink it straight from the tap. Now, as you get further out in the country, you may need to boil your water before you drink it, because it goes further, and they may not have the filtration system in the buildings that makes the water taste a little better. Now, I will say, unlike certain countries, like I think Mexico, you just can't drink the water, period. Even in the interior of the country, I think you can drink the water. It just may not taste as well. I don't think it's going to be full of like the bacteria and all of that, because it does go through their main water filtration system here, which is, I think it's IDAAN, is the name of the water filtration system. Don't hold me to that, but I'll put all that information in the description. So they do have a water treatment system, but it doesn't work the same as ours in the U.S. It's not like in every city has their own separate. There's one major water treatment system here for the country. But the thing you have to remember is that Panama, the country, is about the size of the state of South Carolina. So you're not going to have a whole bunch of different systems because it's not that vast of a country. And so oftentimes people will come here and they're accustomed to, their water in the States. Now, I will say, like I said, I drink tap water. It's fine. I have a preference. I do prefer my water filtered. But it's not because I'll get sick or anything like that. But the other thing when it comes to water, well, I want to hold up on that. We're not going to get to the sewage yet. Did you have anything in regard to the drinking water that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I will say that. Let me just, excuse me, I was trying to answer a question real quick. Sandra just tapped in and she said, are you guys doing church this Saturday? So let me just say this really, really quickly. The answer is, if you're talking about First Saturdays, yes.
Easter Sunday.
She said Easter Sunday. I didn't read it all the way.
Easter Sunday, and we're not sure yet.
So yeah. So disregard what I just put in the chat. My bad. I did not read it all the way. Thank you, babe. So
Yes.
Back to the regularly scheduled program, already in progress. So one of the things I'll say about the drinking water here, living in the city here in Panama City, and that's what I want to make sure it's a real clear distinction. When you hear people say, be careful of the water, a lot of times they're talking about areas that are not as beefed up, as not as what's the word I'm looking for back? Infrastructure. The
infrastructure isn't as solid as you get further outside of the city.
As solid. But let's go down that rabbit hole for a quick second. In the U.S., I am from Baltimore, Maryland, right? I grew up in the Baltimore, Maryland area. I can promise you, if you, back in the day, if you were to drive from Baltimore City down to, say, Pasadena, Maryland, where it's in Anne Arundel County. It's a suburb of Baltimore. You would go to where we would call it, it's the country. We called it the country. We didn't even call it rural back then. That's a new word for me as we grew up. But when you went to the country, you were sort of, it was a different world, right? It was a completely different world. So you did not see the kinds of things that you were used to in the city. You had well water, for example. How many people grew up and you had to drink well water? Put me in the chat. You grew up on that. Well water was drinkable, but you have got to be careful with some well water because it's not gone through the kind of treatment that water in the city. So I want you to think of when you come to Panama like that. Panama City is the city. And when you get outside of the city, you may be subjected to some areas that the water is not going through the same kinds of filtration. So you may have a challenge, particularly if you have a weak stomach. Cherie has some challenges with her stomach just because. So I want you to think that we have never, ever not drank the tap water here, ever.
No, I cook with tap water. Never had any problems. Like you said, I mean, my stomach, my stomach is really sensitive. I've never had any problems here in the city, even drinking tap water here. And there are times when I have drank tap water here. My preference is filtered water, which is why we use our Epic water filter to filter our water.
Speaking of Epic, speaking shameless plug for our sponsor, Epic Water.
I just prefer the taste of filtered water because that's what I'm accustomed to. Now, what I have done since being here, like we don't buy bottled water. We'll get not the individual bottles. Like we might get like the 5-gallon thing of water, and I'll even put that in the water filter and filter it. It's very hard to find spring water here. In a lot of the stores, they sell bottled water, but it's not spring water, and so it's very difficult to by that. So just be mindful of that. I mean, the water is perfectly fine for you to drink, like I said, in the city. Like he said, when you get outside the city, you're running into, it may not be as filtered, but it has gone through a filtration system. And so if you have a sensitive stomach, if you are concerned about that, you can always get a water filter. You can always, buy bottled water. You can boil your water. So it's not that you have to, but you may, depending on you may want to. So just be mindful of that. But it's not like going to Mexico where you're going to come here and everybody's like, don't drink the water, don't drink the sodas because they're processed with the same water. It's not like that here at all. And so the water is processed differently, but it's still processed in a way that you can still drink it and use it.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I just would say, once again, use your own discretion. Again, there are people, how many of you guys in the U.S. don't drink tap water? Raise your hand, put me in the chat. You're in the U.S. or you're abroad. I mean, well, it's abroad for us. You're in the U.S. maybe. Let's just stick with the U.S. You don't drink tap water there. Who are you? Is that me? Put me. I don't drink tap water. Put that in the chat. I want to hear from you because you probably will carry that same energy here just because that's just how you're used to doing it. There are some people saying you can't pay me to pay for water. I ain't doing that. And that's where this question gets popped up oftentimes.
Great question. Linda put in her husband uses a CPAP. How easy is it to find distilled water? You can find distilled water in many of the pharmacies and the grocery stores. The larger grocery stores do sell distilled water, so you can find it to use for your CPAP machine.
Yeah, I use a CPAP, and we have no problem finding distilled water for that. Yep.
So let's move on to the next question. So as we're talking about water, we're going to talk about the sewer system. So oftentimes people have heard these horror stories that you go to the bathroom in Panama and you can't put the toilet tissue in the toilet. What do you do with the toilet tissue? Okay, so in the city, in most buildings in the city, most restaurants, most places that you go, there will be a sign that says, be mindful of what you put in the toilet. They're not necessarily referring to toilet tissue. They are referring to excessive toilet tissue or other items going in the toilets. In most newer buildings and most places in the city, you're perfectly fine, using a moderate amount of toilet tissue when you go to the bathroom and flushing. Now, as you get further outside the city, that changes. And that changes because the pipes are different out there. They are still in the city in certain areas. You'll see roads being dug up where they're updating the pipe system. They're updating the sewage system so that it can handle, you using toilet tissue. So back in the day, the pipes were not built to handle extra in the system. I'm trying to be
define extra, babe.
extra.
Please. Let's
Anything
just be
other than
specific.
bodily fluids and bodily waste.
Thank you.
They were not designed to handle that, and so they've been expanding and rebuilding the infrastructure of the sewage system in the city so that it's equipped to handle that. So toilet paper, especially if you go outside the city, and I mean, if you see a sign, if you are fine with that, sometimes you'll see the sign that asks you to put it in a trash can, but it'll be a trash can there. They dispose of it, they clean it, they take care of that. But in most cases in the city, you don't have to worry about that. It's not them being behind, it's about the pipe design and the climate.
Yeah, only thing I'll add is that ladies, you would not dispose of sanitary napkins in a toilet. Anywhere on the planet. Think like that. We would not put paper towels in our toilets in the U.S. Why would we do that here? Like, period. And so a lot of times it can get lost in translation as to specifically what they're talking about. Are there some kinds of plumbing systems out in the interior that may not be able to handle a lot of paper? Yes. And they will let you know that. Even in the city, there are some buildings that if they're old enough, they may have poor plumbing systems that are not designed to handle the volume of tissue that is going down, no matter what's on the tissue. And they don't do the dissolving, disposable things well.
Right.
And so a lot of times that can clog up systems unnecessarily. So if you use that kind of logic and discretion, I think that you're going to be fine, but I don't want you to become overly concerned about that.
Right, and that's something to be conscious of. Like, a lot of people nowadays use the disposable, the flushable wipes, because the system is not as updated as ours, because it's not a septic system. So it's not like you can put Rid-X down your toilet and all of that to make sure that stuff dissolves. Just be mindful of that. Don't use that in excess. The other thing to be mindful of, that here in Panama, in most places, there's a bidet. There is a bidet in pretty much every bathroom in people's homes. I don't think in public bathrooms, but in most people's homes and condos and houses, there's a bidet, so you can utilize that, so you don't have to use as much toilet tissue. And they designed it that way so you'd be able to use that to be able to cleanse yourself, so you don't have to use as much toilet tissue. So they've given you an option. They have a way to work around that so that you're not clogging the system up with excess toilet tissue. And that's the thing, just think excess. It's not built for excess. Not to say that you can't use one or two sheets, but you don't want to do excessive, and if you do, you want to flush in between and make sure everything goes down.
Listen, we doing the most over here today, guys. Listen, if you're just tuning in, welcome to Behind Closed Doors with the Brookses. I'm Glenn P. Brooks Jr. This lovely, beautiful young lady right here is
Cherie A. Brooks Jr., and we're talking about poop today.
We're talking about the poop scooper. No, that is hilarious. No. We're going to get into some things because, babe, a lot of times people have these questions personally with us, and we're addressing, like, publicly questions that we have. Like, for example, at First Saturdays, our monthly meetup that we do every single month, shameless plug, every single first Saturday we get together, and it generally draws a bunch of expats, locals, travelers. That's a place that if you're ever coming to the country and you want to meet us, or you want to meet up with us in sort of like a impromptu for you kind of a way, put it on your calendar to come through on a first Saturday. It's at Mika's Cafe, 10:30 a.m. every single first Saturday. These kinds of questions come up all the time. Like, people come there because that's where you're going to run into people that look like you, think like you in a lot of ways. Maybe they share some of the same values that you do, but they're expats in many cases, or they have been frequent travelers of Panama, and so they're able to do that. One last thing before we move on to the other thing. Please understand that we live in Panama City. Panama City moves and differently than the rest of the country. And so let me just be 100% real, because we'll have have people come in the comments, but what about this and what about that? We are specifically going to always share from our vantage point. We don't live in the interior. I don't live in Boquete. I mean, we've been there and we're traveling around, but we're never going to speak on things that we don't live. This is about our lived experiences. So I will say that things move very, very differently in the interior. And so if you are on this feed and you hear this, whether live or replay, please put it in the comment. How does it function in your area of the woods? If you're in the western part of the country, the Cherokee region and all these different things, please let us know, does the information that we're sharing hold up for those places in the country?
Right. So if we move on to the next, we want to talk about trash. So oftentimes people will come and visit Panama and they walk through the city and they'll be like, oh my God, there's trash on the street. It's so dirty in certain areas. And there's a reason for that. First and foremost, trash disposal in Panama is regulated. Now, it's regulated differently than in the States. So in the States, pretty much every neighborhood, every town, every community has a contract with the waste disposal company. They have a schedule based on that county. There's a schedule in that county on when trash is done, when it's picked up, what's picked up, whether they recycle, whether they do those things. Here in Panama, curbside pickup is regulated. It is scheduled, but schedules can be inconsistent. The pickup times can vary from week to week. Trash is often put in small bags or bins outside, particularly for people in smaller buildings or in single-family homes. They usually have a metal or a concrete bin that they put their trash in outside. They don't use the big 25-gallon trash cans like we have in the States. One thing to remember here in Panama is very much eco-conscious, and so plastic, there's very minimal. They minimize the use of plastic. They try to minimize the use of plastic. So plastic trash cans like that, they're not going to have. When you go to the store, you're not going to get plastic bags. When you go to the grocery store, you need to carry your own bags. You got to use the reusable bags when you go to the store, because they are conscious of that. They do try to recycle. There's trucks that come by and pick up the recycled items in many of the buildings. But not all buildings separate them. Some do, some don't. And so just be mindful of that. But the biggest thing is that, when it comes to trash, that it is going to get picked up. They're not going to leave it there forever in most areas. Now, as you get into some of the more impoverished areas, as you get into some of the areas outside of the city, like I said, it is regulated, but it's inconsistent. And so their schedule may not be once a week, once every 2 weeks, once every 3 weeks. The thing that I've learned here in the city is that individual buildings will have a contract with a trash disposal company to have them come more frequently so that there's not a buildup of trash. I know, like our building, they pick up our trash like 3 or 4 times a week. So there's never a buildup, and they have a trash receptacle down inside the garage. When the truck comes, they come in and get it, so it's not placed out on the street. Whereas a lot of buildings, like I said, there's either a concrete box or there's a metal, looks like a big metal basket that the individuals put their bags there. Now the challenge with that, with trash that's put out in those receptacles, is that you got birds that will bother the trash occasionally. But the bigger challenge, which we actually witnessed today, is that now there's not a large homeless population here in Panama, but there is a homeless population. And also, and I won't even say they're all homeless. There are individuals that will go through and go rummage through the trash to get cans and bottles so that they can recycle them for money. And when they go through that trash, they pull it out, they go through it, they don't put it back. And so oftentimes when you see the trash on the side of the road, when you see trash that's been splone, what's the word?
I think all of the above should count. Yeah, this is the first of the year. You get to make up new words. I love it. Strewn, strewed, whatever. Yeah, that sounds good. Spell it. Can we use that? I don't know.
Trash that's spilled out onto the street is because someone has gone through it.
Yeah.
That's usually not rodents. That's not birds that are tearing open bags and ripping the trash there. There's been a person that has gone through, that was rummaging through it to find cans, bottles, and sometimes even they're trying to find food. And they, aren't going to put it back when they're finished. So that's most of the time when you see trash here in the city, in most of the major areas in the city. Like I said, in some of the more impoverished areas, the further you get outside the city, their schedule just isn't as consistent. And so they're going to come and get it, but it's not going to be on a weekly basis necessarily.
Yeah, I want to add, and I love it. I appreciate you for chiming in. The RVNPRKNSs. The Riven Perkins. I'm not sure how you listen. My eyes listen. I'm old. But I love the comment. Thank you so much. Says that they live near Coronado, and when scouting for a home, they made sure that their community had reliable trash pickup. Ours is twice a week. And again, it goes back to what Sharia is saying. Every neighborhood is regulated different. Every building is regulated different. If you go to certain neighborhoods, say San Miguelito, for example, it's an impoverished area by and large. There's some beautiful places within San Miguelito. We've been there several times. But in some of the impoverished areas, the trash doesn't get picked up for weeks sometimes, and it mounts because of all the people that live there. The government is not coming through to pick it up. And let's just be dead real, y'all. I'm going to put it this way. There are times where you have local municipalities that run things very differently. And when things break down, you see what that looks like. So if for whatever reason the local community or the local municipality is not on top of things, you're going to see that. And so I just want to encourage you guys that, by no stretch do we consider Panama, quote, dirty. No. I would never characterize the country that way. But I will say that it's different, and it can appear that way. And there are places and times where, that is dirty. We walked literally this morning. We did our morning walk, and I'm going to drop some video footage of that. I've already started on our Instagram page. And literally walked up on a guy who was taking a sponge bath outside, and he was digging through the trash. And I'm like, we can really talk about this. So it's real. It happens. But, I promise you, we walk by that same area, it may be cleaned up by the time we get back.
Right. I mean, it depends on the day, depends on the time of the day. We've had friends that have come, and we walked down the street, and it was before trash was picked up, and they was like, oh my gosh, there's trash on the street. We come back later that afternoon, there's no trash, and the streets are immaculate. One thing that you'll notice, oftentimes you'll see the building maintenance people, they're outside, they're sweeping, they're cleaning. So these are very clean people. They maintain their properties. They're trying to maintain a level of cleanliness. So they'll be outside sweeping, cleaning up. They're keeping it up the best that they can. But like I said, there are times, overnight, somebody rummages through the trash, you're not there 24 hours a day. So, it takes getting used to. You want to be mindful of the area that you're in. You want to ask, what is it, the routine, the consistency of the trash pickup in the area that you're going to be in. But it's more of an inconvenience. You just walk. Like today, Glenn said, and also today, it's right after New Year's Eve.
That part.
Last
Everybody
night was a whole time.
6:00 this morning.
So you just walk in the street, walk around the trash. It's not
they'll
going to
pick it up.
Right.
I love this comment right here, babe. Sometimes you have stray dogs, stray animals, cats, you name it. One thing I have never, and all of the time, and I got to say this, babe. In all of the time we've been here, it'll be 3 years in June. I've seen 2 rats running around the street in all of this time. So let's just
running around. No,
listen. Let me.
They was dead.
So let me go back. I am figuratively saying running around. They weren't literally running around. We was running around the streets. One in Costco one time, and then one I think
it was in our neighborhood.
In our neighborhood, we were coming up via Argentina, I think it was. And the bottom line was, in both cases, they were dead.
Right.
Now, one of the things you'll find here in Panama, particularly in the city, is that there are a lot of cats that are running. So you see more stray cats in some areas. I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead.
You jumping ahead.
My bad.
You jumping ahead.
I saw
Before we get into that, we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
But I want to thank you for the question. But I want to go back to someone asked, who was it? 263 Stacy asked, what happens if you need to get rid of bulk items? So this is the fun thing about Panama. This is fun. So it scared us the first time. So there are people who ride around in pickup trucks with bullhorns pretty much daily that are driving around different neighborhoods picking up bulk items. And they're announcing that they're picking up items, but they're saying it in Spanish. So the first time we heard it, we were actually sitting in here and we hear this person on a bullhorn and we're like, oh my gosh, are they saying like leave the country? Like what's going on? Because we didn't know what the heck they were saying. And so, but then we looked out the window and we saw and we talked to the people in the building. They was like, no, they come around and they're picking up bulk items. So in most neighborhoods, there's for lack of better terms, a trash man or a salvage man.
Yeah, it's
probably more a
better word.
salvage man that comes through. As you get in your neighborhood, you can ask your building staff when they come, how often do they come, and they usually come down the streets and they'll come and pick up items. You can usually either, I guess you go down and get them, let them know, hey, I got something, or you put it out on the street. I'm not sure, you need to check with your building because we haven't gotten rid of any bulk items, but we see them driving around all the time, and I've seen them picking up stuff from other people, but I don't know if they already had it out there. So there is a system in place. These are not part of the trash company that does the trash. These are individuals who are collecting these items. I'm sure they probably go and scrap them and do whatever with them, but that's how you can get rid of bulk items that way.
Yeah, and again, when you move here or if you come here, that's one of the reasons why we stress, find your tribe and really find the community and ask a lot of questions. If you ever come on a scouting trip, I want you to ask these kinds of questions. It is like, how does the trash, how do I get rid of bulk trash? Like all of the things that we're talking about, hopefully you're writing these things down. Maybe you're going back and you're checking the replays out. Because these are the questions that every neighborhood functions differently. Yes. It ain't New York rats. It ain't Baltimore rats. Listen, no. I'm from South Baltimore, and I'm going to tell you something right now. Lexington Market was famous for their cat or puppy-sized rats. I've seen two very normal, they almost look like hamsters, very normal sized rats dead. And I'd like to think that if the city is quote that dirty, we would see that all the time. And we don't have a car by design,
so we walk a lot
and we see everything. And I've just never seen it. But
so to that point, what you will find in the city are a lot of stray cats, as Glenn was starting to go into, and the city allows the stray cats. There's actually our organizations that come around and feed the stray cats because the stray cats help keep away the rats.
The rodents.
So in most neighborhoods, you're going to see, it's not like overrun by stray cats, but you'll see little areas and you'll see stray cats. Like up the street from us, there's a vacant lot. And the cats, I guess they live in that lot, and people come by and they feed them. When we were in Costco Viejo, that was the first time we saw it. The first time we came here to Panama, we were staying there for 10 days.
And the cat lady.
And we kept seeing this lady walking down to the end of our street, and we was like, hilarious. It's nothing down there. Where is she going?
She had a shopping cart and everything.
Right. And we're like, where is she going? And so we're looking over the balcony. I'm like, what is she doing? And so we went down and we saw she was actually putting down little containers of food. And it was like, now over there it probably was like 20, 30 cats in that place because they know that's where she comes to feed them. But they utilize nature to deter the rodents.
Y'all, and Cherie, one thing we noticed, and you probably can chime in on this, but those cats look real healthy.
Oh, they very healthy.
Ain't nothing mangy and crazy looking. They look like somebody. They are well kept.
They're well fed.
I promise you.
Now they might be dirty because they're outside, but
right.
They're well fed. They're healthy. They're not sickly looking cats that you often see when you see stray animals that you can tell have been deprived of food. They're very well taken care of. Now somebody mentioned, we talked about the stray dogs here in the city. I haven't seen a lot of stray dogs other than in Costco Viejo. I don't see a lot of stray dogs. Now, when we get out further in the interior, you see a lot more stray dogs.
Yeah.
In the area
we call them community dogs.
Yes, it's like this is their In Costco, they just lay there in the middle of the street and look at you like you on my street, you up my sidewalk, like, and you walk around me, just step over me. I'm not moving.
My nap here,
So, but here in the city, we haven't encountered, I don't think, any stray dogs. Now, the other thing when it comes to dogs, Panama has a huge, huge, huge dog culture.
Listen, If you're a dog person,
You're going to love it.
you're gonna love it here.
Your dogs are going to love it.
Your dogs are gonna love it here.
There are pet stores on every corner, like it's liquor stores on every corner in the States.
Help me!
I mean, you got pet stores, you got the little the
veterinarian.
veterinarians on every corner. You got the little pet spas. You got everything. So I mean, they love their dogs. We were out walking this morning, and I think I saw more people out walking their dogs today than I ever have at one time.
Yesterday, we was walking from the nail salon, and the lady had 4 Dachshunds.
Yes. Oh, they were the cutest things.
They look personality out the wazoo.
were so
She
cute.
stopped and just talked to us and was telling us the history of each one of them. They're all cousins.
Yeah.
And I'm telling y'all, like, so it's a whole thing.
Yes. So they love their animals. They love their pets here, and so it's very much a dog culture.
Speaking of which, I do want to let people know that if you are not a dog person, and let me just say this so that y'all are clear. When Cherie and I got married, it'll be 27 years in a row this coming January 30th. Okay? And to celebrate, we went out and got some stamps. You understand me? Permanent light. You know, it says 130.
now.
You said what now?
He mine now.
Lord Jesus, it's been 27 years.
Adam
in a row.
branded him.
Wow. Anywho, I'm saying this for context. When I got married, when we got married, I found out that Cherie was she had 8 dogs prior to meeting me. Breaded. Breaded. Is it breaded?
I bred
Bred.
Rottweilers. We bred.
So let's
Oh,
explore
gosh.
that. Let's explore. So when you're breeding,
I was a
dogs,
breeder. I was
you
a Rottweiler breeder.
A Rottweiler breeder. That's what it was.
Yes.
So Cherie is a dog whisperer. I promise you. Her and dogs, they just speak a language that I just don't understand. So, and we've had 2 or 3 dogs in our marriage. I'm not considered a dog person. I don't dislike them. Let me get this straight. I'm just not the guy that's going to be doing the most. You ain't coming up and licking on people and doing all. I'm not that guy. And I'm not going to be mean. Trust me, dogs actually like me. And that's the other thing that's wild. It's but I'm sort of ambivalent when it comes to dogs. If you're like me, or even worse, you can't stand animals, Panama might not be for you.
Right, because the restaurants, coffee shops, everything, most places are very dog friendly, and so you could be in a restaurant and somebody's bringing their dog in the restaurant. I've seen people take their dogs pretty much everywhere here in Panama. So it's very much a dog friendly culture here. Wanted to address something else. So Trucker DSK7LQ.
And by the way, y'all be killing me with these names. Can y'all do me a favor and put your government name? I know.
I'ma just say Trucker D.
Because I'll be like, what that say? And I don't be wanting to call the wrong thing. But look, Trucker D, we're going to call you Trucker D.
Trucker D.
So, if Mama named him Trucker D, we call him Trucker D.
Oh, gosh. So that's true. Most of the strays that we have seen, stray dogs, they're not vicious. They're very calm. They're very chill. And that's another thing. So Panamanian dogs are different. They are chill. They ain't barking like they crazy.
And they speak Spanish.
That was weird for me.
Wild.
So our friends, Omar and Mayu, have a dog, Orion. And I pet sit Orion, and they had to remind me he doesn't speak English, so you have to speak to him in Spanish. I'm like, sit, stop, stay. They was like, no, you have to say it. He's looking at me like, what? So I had to learn Spanish to be able to communicate with the dog. So,
y'all, this is so funny.
But so even when we see dogs on the street, it's like, hola, muy bonita. I'm speaking to them in Spanish because they don't understand English, but their temperament is so much chiller than dogs in the States. Yeah. It's like they got here.
By and large. You got some aggressive.
Yeah, you got some. Well, I won't say aggressive.
Orion is not a people.
He's just not a people person.
He's not super social at all.
No, he's not social. But that's because he's not socialized. That ain't his fault.
Yeah.
Because he's chill when it's not his fault. No,
you're right.
I mean, he doesn't get out.
He doesn't get out.
He just didn't get out because of their work schedule. Yeah, he doesn't get out. But most dogs here, I wouldn't say I've run into any dogs that I would say are aggressive. Now, I do know a person who got bit by a dog. So, I mean, use common sense. You don't just walk up to people's dog and just pet them without anything. And you want to be mindful when you're around dogs. Pay attention to them. Pay attention to their body language, because a dog is still a dog. They're still animals, so they can react any way that they can. But for the most part, I would say that their temperaments is really chill. It reminded me of when we came the first time to Panama, and Glenn was saying that he thought I was high because I was so chill. I was so mellow. These dogs to me are just mellow. They just like, they on something different.
Yeah, you and them dogs. I think they was watching you eat some gummies or some brownies or something. And the problem I had is that she wasn't even trying to share, y'all. I'm like, what are you doing?
No, so I mean, it's definitely a dog culture. And Riven Perkins. I'm gonna try to get this to Riven Perkins.
Is that it?
I don't know.
Reverend Perkins. You think
it's not Reverend? It's Riven Perkins.
I don't think so.
But the post that we have up right now, thank you.
Raven. No, it says Raven. Now the thing.
Raven Perkins.
Yeah, okay. Raven.
Okay.
Listen.
The Raven Perkins.
We love you, Raven.
Okay, we probably are butchering your name, but thank you for joining us and for sharing. So, she did say it's Raven. Okay, yeah, so Raven makes an excellent point that out in the interior, when you get further outside of the city, there are things you do have to be conscious of when it comes to having pets. Like she said, there are certain frogs that are poisonous to dogs that you have to pay attention to. And I will say any reptiles, any spiders, anything that you see that's bright colored, in many cases those are poisonous. You want to avoid them. You want to have your animal avoid them. If you have a dog, you don't want them to just go up and play them. I know there's one particular frog that is extremely poisonous to dogs. If they go and grab it,
I don't remember the name.
I can't remember the name of it, but I know it's one of those bright color. I don't know if it's the red frog. I can't remember what it is. But those are things that you're going to have to be conscious of when you bring your pet here, depending on where you're living, just to be mindful of the different dangers to them, because they're in a foreign country. There are different things that can be harmful to them that you're not accustomed to in the States. And so that's something else to consider when you move here to Panama. You got anything else?
No, I'm good. I'm chilling. I think that might be Carl in the chats. He said very difficult, or somebody said very difficult to find distilled water. I know that's not a dog or pet thing, but very difficult to find distilled water. It's available, but you have to search it. Let me say this, y'all. It can be difficult to find anything in Panama in general.
That's true.
Speak to that for a minute, Sheree, just real quick, because, you go ahead. Go.
So I have learned that when you find something that you need, that you like, particularly if it's something that you're accustomed to getting it in the States, when you find it, buy all of it up. And
that's why it's so difficult to find, because y'all buying it up.
Right, but what happens is oftentimes there are things that we utilize as Americans or as foreigners that what's the term of the I don't want to say the natives.
The locals.
The locals.
Jesus.
I couldn't get my word right.
It's okay.
The locals don't utilize.
This
they
is
don't.
The first day of the year. You're allowed.
The locals don't use regularly, and so the store may purchase it and see it gets bought up, they'll purchase it again. But then if it doesn't get bought up, they'll say, oh, there's no demand for this. They'll discontinue it. They won't carry it anymore. So when you find something that you need or that you like, do yourself and do all your fellow expats a favor. Buy all of it up, because that means they're going to replenish it. Because if it sits there on the shelf, oftentimes they will not replenish it. There have been a number of things that, things that I use that I've gone to a store and I found and I purchased it. Then I go back a couple weeks later, a month later, 2 months later, and they haven't restocked it. They have not brought it back because there was not a demand for it. So when you find something, you want to make sure that you, now, if you buy it all up and you want to share with other people, you can post in some of the communities, be like, hey, I got some of these, and you can do it that way.
Listen, and we are not, listen, all my seat, look, those of you who led CD Lives before you got yourself together, we're not talking about hoarding things and reselling them. We're not doing that. We're going to be nice, and we're sharing, Sheree.
Okay.
Jesus.
I'm okay. But if you find something that you need, so like even with the distilled water, when you find a place that has it, you want to make sure that you purchase it. If it's in a pharmacy, you want to let the pharmacist know, hey, this is something I need. I will be coming back to get it every month. Communicate with them so that they know, so that way they'll keep it in stock. Because the bottle they had may have been there for a month, you buy it, they may not replenish it because they don't know that there's a demand for it. So you can always let people know that you have a need of something, and oftentimes they will then try to accommodate you.
Yeah, I'm trying to jump in here, babe. Just because one of the things that I want to encourage right here, and it's one of the reasons why Cherie moved to the area that we're in, you want to develop relationships with your local grocers, your local pharmacists, your local. Think back in the day, like when you knew the butcher at the grocery store, like y'all were on first name basis. You understood how they move. Now you're putting in your little order for a particular cut you like, and you're coming back week after week. And so when you establish those kinds of relationships, what you will find is that people will order stuff just because you coming to get it.
You used to do that?
I did. I would talk to people. They be knowing I'm coming.
Oh, I was thinking more like my parents did that.
No, yeah, you thinking I'm old? You saying I'm old? Y'all see that slight? Y'all see that? This is why I don't mess with this.
Y'all understand the principle.
Anyway,
of what he's sharing.
Yeah, be friendly. Unlike some people. Jesus. Can we move on?
Yes, we can move on. So, as we get ready to wrap up,
cut your microphone off. I didn't mean it.
Okay.
It was an accident.
Okay. I believe you.
I promise.
So before we wrap up, we wanted to share with you guys something in regards to healthcare. Now, you guys have heard us talk about healthcare and how amazing the healthcare system is here, how modern it is, how innovative it is in certain hospitals. There's a Johns Hopkins affiliate hospital here. There are several private hospitals here that are amazing. Panama Clinic, Pacifica Salute here in the city. It's quite a few of them that are amazing. But I recently had an experience with a certain procedure that is not something that's common here in Panama. And this is where you have to be gracious, you have to be patient, and you have to have a level of understanding. So I had to get a sleep study done for my sleep apnea, to evaluate my sleep apnea. Now, I've had sleep studies done in the States before, where you go to the sleep center, you stay overnight, they hook you up, you do the whole thing. So I do know that in the States nowadays they have it where you can go pick up the machine, you take it home, and you do the test at home, which is a very simple process. Panama in certain technologies are probably 15 to 20 years behind, particularly in areas that are not, there's not a large need here. There are not a lot of people here that, not to say they don't have sleep apnea, but they don't do sleep studies. They don't get treated for that per se because of the expense of it, primarily also because that is considered alternative medicine here. It's not something that's covered by insurance here, by the local insurance for locals. So that is something that they would have to pay out of pocket. The thing you have to be mindful of is that Panamanians, the average monthly salary for a Panamanian is less than $1,000 a month. So to pay $1,000 for a test would be exorbitant to pay out of pocket for something like that. So many of them, that's just not something that they do here. Now, other areas of healthcare, you're fine. You don't have any problems, you don't have any challenges. But this particular, when it comes to sleep apnea, it's just not something that's really prevalent here, and so it's not a large demand for it, so insurance doesn't cover it. So in this particular instance, it was kind of archaic, would probably be the best way that I can describe it. And because this was done through the VA communication, it wasn't me booking the appointment directly, so I was going through a third party, and it was a whole thing. So everything wasn't communicated to me properly. So I just want to let you know that when you are having any type of procedure, any type of test, anything done, you want to ask a whole lot of questions. You want to get clarity on how they're doing the test, what equipment is being used for the test, because don't just assume because you've had it done in the States that it's going to be done the same here. In this particular case, it was not at all. I got through it, got it done, but it was not what I expected. It wasn't what I anticipated. and it threw me for a loop because it just was not what I was accustomed to. So there are certain things, certain tests, certain procedures that are done differently. Like I said, in many cases, like the major hospitals, the private hospitals, they're using robotics. They're state of the art when it comes to a lot of things. But some things here, because it's not something that's prevalent, they may be a little behind the times on, because it's just not a need here. It's not something that it doesn't affect the Panamanian people in that way.
If I could add to that one thing, and this is just, in a supportive role, I think a lot of times when you don't ask the right questions, there's not clarity, and so your expectation is jacked up. And I think that one of the things that I realize is that when you don't know, you don't know. And so our hope is to come and afford you guys sort of information to kind of form your own questions, or at least your own research. When it comes to sleep studies, we've done them 1,000 times in the U.S. I've had sleep apnea for years. And so when Cherie talks about archaic, it was the procedure itself and how it was done and how they treat. We wasn't used to sleep studies being done in your home, for one. And even then, the kind of equipment they were using and how they were, going about it. I will say that we went to a state-of-the-art private hospital for her appointment. So it's not like we went to some backwoods person that kind of was like, yo, don't tell nobody, but this is what we doing. It wasn't that. But when she says that it's not prevalent, I want to make sure it's super clear that I'll give you a quick example on a whole nother front. You're going to be hard pressed to find in restaurants vegetables as a side dish. Mm-hmm. Okay, you're gonna be hard pressed, and it's not because Panamanians don't grow certain vegetables here. Now there's certain things they don't grow. They don't grow apples in Panama because of the climate. But there are a bunch of things that do grow here, but because it's not a part of the Panamanian diet, it's not their palate, it's not what they consume. It's generally treated more as an export. Mm-hmm. There are certain kinds of coffees that Panama is the number one producer in the world for, but Panamanians don't drink that kind of coffee. And it ain't because of the expense per se, it's because it's not a part of their diet. So when she says that, what you're dealing with is the reason why you're not going to find certain vegetables as a side dish is because the culture doesn't eat it. Mm-hmm. And if they don't eat it, there's no demand for it. And if there's no demand for it, you can't get it. So the same holds true for certain procedures and things like that. So I just want to make sure that y'all are good on that, because it's a learning experience like every single day. Right,
and I wanted to address Keith's comment he made, and you make an excellent point. Panama is very health conscious. So a lot of the conditions that, and I can only speak about us as Americans, a lot of the health conditions that we suffer from or that we deal with, they don't encounter, because they are more health conscious. Although they don't eat a lot of vegetables, their diet is very bland. They don't eat a lot of fat. They don't eat a lot of the things. They don't eat a lot of processed foods. There are a lot of things that they don't deal with health-wise that we do because of our diet, because of our lifestyle in the States. And so if you're dealing with certain conditions when you come here, not that the medical professions don't know what it is or don't know how to deal with it, but they may have to finagle how they're going to deal with it, because it's not something that they deal with here regularly. Now, as far as medications, they can get you medications if you want to stay on medications, but in most cases, your doctors are going to want to approach whatever you're dealing with from a very holistic approach. That's one thing that I love about healthcare is here. They often, there's a combined approach. It's not just medicinal. They may prescribe you something for the pain, but as we're doing that, we're doing this to build you up so you won't have the pain anymore.
You remember that time when we were in Costco, it was during our anniversary last year, I think. Mm-hmm. I had frozen shoulder. Mm-hmm. And it was right before we went down. We stayed a couple of days for our anniversary. And I said, well, I got to go get a shot or something.
You were thinking you were going to get a cortisone shot.
That's what I was thinking. It was a complete vitamin cocktail that blew me away. I went to a medical facility. This wasn't some alternative place. Right. This was a flat out medical clinic. And when they it was over a 3-day period of time, they prescribed me sort of a concoction, and it was B12s and all kinds of stuff, and they were shooting it directly. They gave 3 shots in my butt for my shoulder, and I promise you, by day 2, that frozen shoulder not only thawed out, but it felt better immediately. And then by that 3rd one, y'all, I was back to full mobility. And I was like, wow. So to Keith's point, and Keith, thank you for changing your name, brother. Appreciate you, brother. One love. Because we really try to be as personal and interactive and engaging with our community as possible. But the one thing that I found out about that, babe, is that, to your point, in the U.S., we were not used to a medical facility approaching something from a this and that, or both and, as opposed to either or. Does that make sense?
Yes, and in the U.S. in particular, they treat the symptoms. They don't treat the cause. They're going to focus on making you feel better, but they're not going to try to get to the root cause. One thing that I can say about the medical professionals that I've encountered here, they want to get to the root cause and help you to treat that as holistically as possible. If it's through diet, through exercise, through supplements, whatever it is, change. They're going to try to help you to have a healthier life, versus just medicating your way through whatever you're dealing with. And so I appreciate that. Since we've been here, I definitely feel healthier. I know my numbers are better in a lot of areas. So it's definitely having its impact. It takes time. This is one thing I think a lot of people come here and think, okay, I'm going to move, and I'm going to be healthy. I'm going to just be this new me. It's going to take time, because you have to change your habits. Just because you're in a new country, it doesn't change your habits. And so, in full transparency, the first year we were here, we was eating out. We was doing all the things the first year because we was excited, talking about we gonna lose weight. Not when you eating out every day. You now. Help me. So
and babe, let me bust this myth and this bubble real fast.
Just eating rich food.
Eating Cherie.
Yeah,
Cherie. Because I'm the professional fat man over here. Listen to me, y'all. Y'all trying to eat cheap at these fondas, and the food is fantastic and phenomenally inexpensive. However, comma and pause. It is not the most healthy food at all in terms of what they use to cook it. So if everything is fried, you're gonna have some problems. Chef Melanie reminded us. She said, "Yeah, Glenn, the fonda. I want you to ask yourself the question: why is the fonda cheap?
Why is it so cheap?
Why is it so expensive?" And I was like, "Ooh." She said, "Yeah, it's not as many preservatives as you might find in the U.S., but there's a reason it's so inexpensive. It's not the best quality of products.
Right.
It's not generally cooked with the best things. And again, this is for all my health conscious people. Y'all just pick and choose your battles. Pick and choose your battles."
Right. And so healthcare is different here. I still will say that I think that the quality of healthcare here is on par or above the U.S. in many cases. The cost definitely is a lot less expensive. I can pay out of pocket for pretty much, like I just had 3 tests done this past week that cost the equivalent of my copay for 1 test in the U.S. and I was paying out of pocket.
Can you let the people know? Really,
so
can you be a little transparent with the people?
So I had to have a mammogram, I had to have an ultrasound, and I had a bone density test. And the total cost for those completely out of pocket was less than $200. Whereas my copay for a mammogram in the U.S., once again, my copay, that's not the cost of the test, was $250 last year because I had to get a 3D mammogram, which wasn't covered fully because insurance is special in the U.S. But, so just be mindful. I mean, you can get pretty much everything that you need to get done here. It might be done differently. Like I said, the way they did the sleep study was done differently than what I was accustomed to, but it's going to have the same results. It just was done differently, and that wasn't communicated to me. So that was the biggest thing. It was shocking getting there and then not understanding how they were going to do the procedure. So even to talk about mammograms, in this particular case, the hospital that I went to, they did not do a 3D mammogram. They chose to do a regular mammogram and then do an ultrasound. which I've had an ultrasound before, but normally in the States now I usually would just get a 3D. So they chose to do 2 tests instead of 1 to get the same results. So it's just different, but it doesn't mean that it's any less effective. It doesn't mean that it's any less, what's the word I'm looking for?
I think effective is the word.
Efficient, yeah.
Efficient,
but it's
effective,
definitely less expensive.
Definitely. One thing I will say this, guys, and we got to wrap up and get out of here, but I will say is that, the thing I think I love about Panama, and, again, this is we're coming into the 3-year stretch here, is for the options, right? So like in the U.S., they generally, you're going to do it this way or you're not going to do it at all. Mm-hmm. And this way might not be the best way, might not be the most efficient way, certainly ain't the most inexpensive way, but it's the way they're going to do it, and you either like it or you don't. Here, there are options from that holistic route to, if you want to go to the top-notch professionals, you have to understand most of the medical professionals that are here, they've studied abroad. So it is nothing for, Panamanians to get their undergrad here, maybe pre-med, but then they're going abroad to get their medical degrees and they're coming back, or whatever the case may be. So it's not a lack of quality. It's just that there are many more options. So real quick before we get out of here, can I kind of tell people what we got happening?
Sure.
And let them know. So if you're in the U.S., if you're in Panama, not the U.S., if you're in Panama City, Panama, there's an area called San Francisco, Panama, where we do a monthly meetup. It's called First Saturdays. It's a gospel brunch. It is where we meet up with our community every first Saturday. It's not a church service. It's just a gospel brunch. But we're there and we're excited. Y'all, we've been doing it for over a year. Last month, they had to shut down the whole restaurant. There were no more seats left in the restaurant. And so this time, we're actually shutting down the restaurant from the public, meaning general population, from 9 to 12, just so that we can have our group. And so shout out to Mika's and James and his team for doing that. So please, 10:30 is when we open it up for the public. We're actually going to come a little earlier than that. We're going to be praying through some things as a small group because God is laying some things on our heart, which brings me to this really quickly. If you are a believer and you're looking for a spiritual community to grow with, definitely invite you to come join the Breakfast in the Word community. We meet every Saturday morning, other than the first Saturday, online. So even before you come to Panama, you can get connected to that community. And the good news is that when you finally make the pilgrimage, you actually know people like in real life because of how that room is set up. And we do community. It's not just a Bible study. It's a Bible study with community mindedness in mind. And so you kind of come to be a part of that. We're doing so many things, guys. We want you guys to be a part of that. We're actually launching a couples ministry within the Breakfast in the Word community. And Cherie and I are coaches. We're relationship coaches. And we kind of pulled back from our group coaching as relationship coaches to launch this ministry style meetup online where we're going to call it Love Works Fellowship. And you'll hear more about that if you are a couple and you're trying to do this in a biblical way and you're trying to grow and you need real community, people who are going to tell you the real deal. These books on the wall ain't something that we just made up. They came from our lived experiences, and we love to teach people. No, don't cost you nothing, not a dime. We just want you to come through, grow, and be a part of what God's doing here in Panama. Baby, got anything when we close?
Yes, I also want to remind you guys, if you are not a member of our Day Ones, we want to encourage you to join our channel as a Day One member to get exclusive behind the scenes information, also to get into our Day One group chat so that we can have direct contact with you. And also, if you're thinking about coming to Panama, whether it's just on vacation or you're considering relocating, if you'd like to get a boots on the ground perspective, you can schedule a taste and see consultation with me, where I'll get on the phone with you and hear your specific needs and wants to help you come up with a specific game plan for your trip here so that you can make the most out of your time when you come to visit Panama.
That's it. Happy New Year. Feliz Año Nuevo. That's how they say it here. And I'm excited. 2026.
It's going to be a great year.
It's going to be a great year. I declare it. And it's already starting out well. And I know 2025 was one of those years, y'all. And it brought in a lot of crazy.
It's going to get better.
But I believe it's going to get better. And here's what I do know. You cannot get to any place of significance by yourself.
By yourself.
Because we all
need some help.
Y'all be good. And listen, can y'all pull up next week rather? It will be our 100th episode. 100 episodes. Y'all be good. And we'll talk to you next week.